Hey guys, welcome back to the Unscripted show. This feels like such a there's like video essays and they feel very polished and academic, and I'd really enjoy like a lot of those. This feels like a weird, almost if you were to compare it to like a video essay being like an actual academic essay, this is kind of like if the messy journal scraps that you put in. It's like got the messy handwriting to it, but it's kind of has an authenticity in its pen work or something. Like, that's what I kind of love about this show. It's mostly just me ranting about academic sort of theory in media or in just whatever at this point. Today I was just thinking about Videodrome again, and holy shit, there's a lot again. So, I can't wait to, say all this stuff, and it's going to be kind of like simplifying it to its basic extent, just because I don't have any method of organizing it like a script or such. But that's why we do the show, right? It's kind of fun to see like the little mishaps I have without any editing and without any sort of like professionality to it. So we're gonna get into it. Yeah, Videodrome is a movie made by Cronenberg. It's one of my favorite Cronenberg films as a non-binary, right? Because it's and I remember making an essay about it in one of my classes last semester, and I got 100 on it. That's the first time I ever got like 100 on an essay. Like that's kind of awesome. Not like a 95 or anything. No, apparently it's perfect. That's awesome. I even got comments saying that I should submit it to like an article of like, or like a journal, film journal that's like mise en scène. Anyway, it was mostly talking about the viewing Videodrome under a Marxist feminist lens. And if you watch the show, or if you haven't watched the movie, spoilers. And I'm not going to be able to put any photos up or anything like that, so you're just going to have to know what I'm talking about in order to get this whole thing, unfortunately. But, what was I saying? Right. Videodrome is fascinating in a Marxist feminist lens because the method in which one of these companies controls like the protagonist is by making him woman and quite literally inserting their like penetrating their commands into him. That's like holy shit, the most unsubtle way of doing it. And it's like, well, good God, in order to continue to have commands on this person, have them follow orders, they penetrate him and make him into a woman, basically. Holy fucking shit. But also there's a lot of from what I've gotten, there's a lot of people in the trans community that seem to love this film and just love body horror in general, which that's valid. It can be used as an expression of relatability towards the dysmorphia they face in their daily lives, and yeah, it's better for just to feel something when watching when watching body horror, instead of doing something possibly dangerous to yourself in any way. So yeah, I get it 100%, especially in this case, because it's like it's not just any kind of body horror, right? It's like body horror that's like very genitalia-esque, and I wouldn't consider myself a transhumanist myself. I am very posthumanist, which is decentralizing humans in everyday life. It sort of goes against what is anthropocentrism, which is the idea that humans are the center of the world, if not the universe, and sort of these are the people who sort of believe in the humans are masters of the world. Unfortunately, a lot of the whole endowmental human spirit thing kind of falls into that, but not always. Not always. I always saw it as a hope thing, but there's some people who like have seemed to, or in their memes around the internet, seem to believe like humans to be like somehow centric towards aliens, as if aliens don't also have adrenaline. You know, like I just don't think that's necessary. This anthropocentric view is just fairly ignorant for the most part, and kind of has to rely on religion a lot of the times. And it's most of the time an excuse for deforestation and such, because the idea is that it's humanity paving its way into mastering the elements, when in truth we are all animals and must be decided as such, as creatures within the environment, more biocentric view, as we've discussed previously in the first episode. What I'm trying to say, well, let's get back to posthumanists. And this has to relate, I swear. Posthumanism is a general philosophy that sort of has like this, that decentralizes humans, again, in an opposite of anthropocentrism. But you might be asking yourself, well, how is that any different from biocentrism, what we've mentioned earlier? And it just more focuses on decentralizing humans. Biocentrism is more adding humans into the whole of the world. Right, they are an aspect of it, much like an ant is an aspect of its own environment, and we sort of look into how it provides for what it provides into the world. It sort of views humans in that aspect, and every other animal for that matter. So it's kind of equalizing. Posthumanists just focus on decentralizing humans for the most part. There is, I might need to look into this again, because I remember there's specifically two sort of methods, and because the whole posthumanist thing can be confused with transhumanism, which is what I mentioned earlier, and I believe I need to find the actual, I had it here somewhere. Yeah, I wrote it down. Ooh. Okay, ontological and critical, that's correct. Ontological posthumanism is what transhumanism is, which is sort of like it's like advancing humans through technology. If you look up transhumanism right now, you're going to see a ton of like robot images or humans becoming robots. That's sort of more what transhumanism is all about, sort of enhancing humanity, and they like to focus more on machines and technology and progress and advancements through that method. Critical humanism is just taking a critical look at humans and just their place in the world and decentralizing them, all in all. So I lean towards more critical posthumanism. And so I'm not a transhumanist myself, but you don't need to be in order to like this film, like just straight up. And as one of my great friends put it, you could watch it in so many different ways. They attempted to watch it as specifically a superhero film, and I think that is fucking hilarious. Like, what? Just holy shit. Yeah. What else do I need to say about that? It's this guy who has superpowers, and he is fighting this evil giant corporate. Right? It's like, it's perfect. It's the greatest superhero film I've ever seen in my life. Like that's amazing. But we can see how right, Marxist feminist lens literally commands from the corporation, from the bourgeois, is being penetrated into this person in order for them to follow the orders, as well as just general trans lens, which it doesn't necessarily just apply to Videodrome, as I've stated earlier. It can apply to anything with body horror in it. Expresses in itself dysmorphia as the experience as a whole. And I am curious how much of that discussion is very theoretical versus just general, okay, artsy, sort of like we feel expressed through this. Maybe by saying that already is diving into a lot of gender theory on its own. Like, it doesn't need to have this academic jargon to it. Anyway, that's only been 9 minutes. Yeah. How are you guys doing? Like the outfit? Have a scarf, have a jacket. It's not cold in here. I just wanted to look good. Like the last time not last time, for the teaser of the first episode, I had like a turtleneck on, and I thought that was very well done. I have heard of supposedly something of a posthumanism, in which falls back into sort of religious, spiritual idea of like transcendental whatevers. So it's kind of ironic that it goes full circle on that method. I suppose that's more in the sense of like ascending the physical form. So it's like transhumanism, but for some reason spiritual in a lot of ways. Which once again, if anything, religion more aligns itself with anthropocentrism, because the idea that this God, this deity, whatever, is the one who made humans and made them to be masters of the world or whatever. It's mostly just religious dogma, and I can reduce it into religious rhetoric. I think that's fine. I'm allowed to do so. But yeah, it's not. Let me think. There certainly is a lot to be said on Videodrome in the sense of just the initial premise before we get into any of the body stuff. The fact that our main character is sort of the CEO of like a controversial, I guess, just how do they describe it? I'm gonna see how Videodrome specifically describes Max. Oh, they just call it trashy TV. I guess that's true. It's supposed to be just like terrible things too, like taboo things are on this like television channel that Max, the main character, is president of and CEO of, and there's definitely something to be said about that. I wasn't sure about it at first when I was watching it, but I think after I've watched it and after I watched just a lot of things in general, my opinion sort of like start enjoying taboo. Starts enjoying taboo and just like unapologetically aggressive sort of stuff. Greg Araki is a great example of a director who does that. Almost all his films have like a really aggressive, unapologetically queerness to them, and aggressively political as well. Not ashamed. It'll say its slurs if it needs to. Slurs relating to the community he's in, mind you. But that's what I'm saying. Like it embraces it's trashy, the trashiness it's sort of been ascribed to. It embraces it. It takes it as its own, and there's a power to that, and I love that. So keep on being trashy, and just keep on in general having an aggressiveness, having a taboo-ness. I've started to enjoy that more recently. There's something very brave and very courageous about that, and I love it. It's provocative, quite literally trying to provoke something out of you, whether it be some sort of reaction or just in general a thought. Like just it provokes you. It provokes, and I love that. There's something powerful about that, more so than you can find in a rather safe or a safe method of making a film or just in general, whatever. So I've started enjoying the taboo. I started enjoying the more risque films like that. That, and I suppose at the time, Cabaret, the musical Cabaret, was considered to be that as well. Yeah, in the time of its creation, I suppose it was very taboo and risky, but provocative, powerful in what it's doing. And I've been trying to get into that a little more. Difficult because it's hard to watch now under the current context. But that's why I've tried to get into it a little more. Was because I've been told that this musical has become more has become just more relevant. That's the word. More relevant in recent years, or just a recent month. And that's true. That's true all in all. So that's why it was actually very difficult to watch. I have not been able to finish yet, but I have seen essays on it that sort of like summarize it. So I know the gist, but it's hard to finish it. It's very difficult because I just need to like, and it's not in a method of escaping it, right? I'm still acknowledging how relevant it is and how that much of an issue that is. But sometimes leftists just need a break. They need to go out and think about something else for a bit. And that's very controversial thing, so I've heard within leftist communities. But it's not necessarily betraying the revolution by any means to take a break for yourself. If anything, that's strengthening you and your mental health to be able to competently fight the cause, if anything. So I argue that it's beneficial to now and then escape into other forms of media, but to never consume yourself in it and never think your life to be a cabaret. So yeah, that's my spiel. It's I love it. You can afford to now and then look away, but not look away at these problems, but just take a break for yourself, so you can be competent again to have that sort of fight, because it doesn't help you to sort of consume yourself and stress yourself out over things that are not necessarily not in your control, but just things that you cannot do anything with at that moment. Does that make sense? If you're walking around, there's no protests happening, and there's relatively nothing you can do in that moment, in that day, right? There's not a lot of community building happening in that day. It doesn't help yourself to stress yourself out. It doesn't help yourself to start like poisoning yourself with the stresses of our problems currently. And again, this is not to encourage by any means any kind of eternal escapism. No, there's still very much issues that need to be face to face with, and we need to acknowledge them, and we need to find our solutions against it before they become outgrown us. But it doesn't mean you should kill yourself over it, if that makes sense. That's my 2 cents on it. I understand the discourse around it. I understand it. But in the end, it also, I think, contributes to our infighting, which has been something that kills us more than the capitalists do. So we got to watch out for that. That was more just to leftists in general. If you're not a leftist on this channel, you don't have to be. But if you're right-wing on this channel, man, you got to leave. I don't know what you're doing here, dude. But no, this has been a fairly good episode. I'll probably just end it here for now. That felt quick to me, but I can look at the time and see it's like sort of a later end one as well, kind of like the last time. But yeah, again, I hope to do more of these soon. I don't have any schedule planned for them. It's not like a weekly basis type of thing. I don't have any plans for them. So I'll just do them whenever I kind of feel like it, and whenever I have something I just really need to like talk about academically, theoretically, or, well, it's funny to say academically and theoretically since it's supposed to be the same thing. But anyway, if I have anything to rant about academically or medially, then I'll be sure to see that. That was the magic of the focus. But yes, I'll be sure to put on the camera once again and record for myself whenever I feel like it. All right. But yeah, all in all, this has been pretty fun and good discussion that was by myself and with no one else. But thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it a lot. If you want like any more stuff like this, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button below if you wish to encourage this sort of videos. That's my YouTuber spiel, and I wish thee adieu.